Defrigening is upon us. Don't leave the fridge open? No, leave it open, dude. I need to breathe. I'm in the fridge. I'm live! Why, hello. Can the fridge people see me now? 8-Bit Dylan. Am I fridge viewable? Hello, fridge people, if you're there. What's up? So, for all you new guys, my name is Thor. I make video games. Been in the gaming industry for 18 years. Used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. Worked on everything from World of Warcraft Vanilla all the way until Overwatch, except for Burning Crusade, because I left for a while. And then I left and I worked at Amazon Game Studio on the Lumberyard game engine. And then I left that and I hacked power plants for the federal government. So I was a pen tester working at the DOE. And then I quit because I didn't like having my hair cut short. And I started my own indie studio called Pirate Software. Now I make games on the internet, and this is what I've done full-time for the last 5 years. I just make games, and I build stuff on Twitch, and that's it. That's all I've been doing. So, one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about immensely on here, the biggest thing of all, is our studio wouldn't exist without Twitch. Hands down. It wouldn't, what we're doing would not be possible without Twitch in any respect. Over the last year, we've finally gotten our own categories. So we have software and game development as a category now, which is really, really cool. But on top of that, it's shown that so many different people can come in here and make their own games, which is something that they didn't think they would be able to do. So I'm going to show you something. I put together a website called develop.games. How many of you guys out there ever wanted to make a game? And you're just like, I can't do this. I'm not a good programmer. I'm not a good artist. I'm not a good musician. I don't have the ability to do this thing that I want to do. I don't have the technical knowledge on how to make a game that I need in order to do this. So you have to be this high to ride the ride, right? It's not a thing. So we're going to go into this for a little bit. But the first thing is, what skills do you need? None. You don't need to know anything. You could be bad at everything, and it's totally fine. So let's go into a few of these. You don't need to be an amazing artist. Thomas Was Alone is a really, really good example of this. Really, really good example of this. Thomas Was Alone is a game about rectangles. And it's going to make you cry. It's one of the most deeply moving stories you've ever... Oh my god, did you just give... How many is that? Barely Mod Mother. What is this? Hey, Pirate Software, you inspire many with your talent and wit. We wanted to give you something that would fit. 20 gifted subs, dude. What a boss. Thank you very much. Holy moly, dude. 20 gifted subs. What a mad lad. Now we're going to see the dog for a while. Look at him go. It's Baron. He's here. I'm going to pause it for a moment. We have so little time. Thank you very much. Seriously, that is a lot. That is a lot of subs, dude. You're amazing. Honestly. Thank you for making this possible, man. So, as I was saying, Thomas Was Alone is a game about rectangles that'll make you cry. You could have very little artistic ability to make this game. You could absolutely make this game. It's all rectangles, even the particle effects. Let's look at this. Look at this. It's all particle effects that are rectangles. The objects are rectangles, and there's triangles in there. You can do this. It's programmer art. Nothing is stopping you from making this game. You go, oh, well, they had really cool lighting in that. Maybe I can't do that. What about Suits of Business RPG? What about this? What about Suits of Business RPG? This whole game is drawn in pencil and scanned into a computer, and then you play it. All of it is hand-drawn. The entire game. What's stopping you from making this? Nothing. The only thing that would stop you from making a game like this is fear that someone would look at your art and go, that's not good enough. But Suits of Business RPG exists. And it's done really well. People like it. 89% positive. It's actually doing great. Thomas Was Alone is sitting at 93% positive. That one's doing great. Let's go to West of Loathing. How many of you guys have ever played Kingdom of Loathing? Old web browser game. Love this game. Love the hell out of it. Very funny. Very silly. Good stuff. Stick figures. The whole thing is stick figures. It doesn't need to be God's gift to graphics. It just needs to be fun. That's it. That's all you have to do. So you look at this and you go, okay, well maybe I don't need to be an artist then. Maybe I could just make something funny, like throw dynamite at a cow. That's fine. You know, I could do that. I could do this. I can make this kind of stuff happen. We got Nepenthe here too. This was actually made by one of our community members. And this one was all scanned into a computer as well, like Suits of Business RPG, but it was done with colored pencil. Look at this. Playable game. Something you can pick up on Steam. Nepenthe. This stuff is awesome. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. And then you get better at it. You get better at it. And better at it. Make cooler and cooler stuff. So you go, okay, well, I could do the art then. If that's the bar standard, I could do the art then. But I can't do the music. But you can. Let's go pull this up. We're going to pull up Hidden Folks. Let's go pull up Hidden Folks real quick, and I'm going to stop our stream music. By the way, all this music here on stream is from our game Heartbound. We have 100 songs in the OST. It's bananas. It's going to be loud for a moment. Oh, got it. Listen to this. It's Where's Waldo with mouth noises. If you can't make music, you can still make music. Do you have a microphone? Can you record your face? You can make this game. And it's charming, dude. It's charming and it's funny. It's called Hidden Folks. The whole thing is just a hidden object game. And it's sitting at 97% positive on Steam. It's done really, really well. So, inability to make music, inability to make perfect art, those two things are now out of there. They don't matter anymore. You can make a game if you don't have two of those things. You just need a cool idea, and you need to execute on it really well, right? Well, let's go to the last one. You're like, oh, well, I'm not a programmer, then I can't make that. Let's go to the final one. Undertale. You don't need to be an amazing programmer. Undertale had all of its dialogue in the entire game, put it in one giant switch case statement, and that was it. It was thousands of cases long. Every programmer in the audience right now just like lost their mind hearing that. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. The game is still fun. You don't have to be a good programmer. You don't have to be any kind of good programmer. You can start off not knowing what you're doing and start working on stuff. Let's go to a really good example of this. How many of you guys have played Five Nights at Freddy's? Five Nights at Freddy's, made by Scott Cawthon, right? We're going to go pull up Scott Cawthon on Wikipedia real fast. Scott Cawthon's Wikipedia page. I want you to look at all of these games. Look at this. Look how many games this is. These are all the games that Scott Cawthon made before Five Nights at Freddy's. Did you know, in the same year that he released Five Nights at Freddy's, he made a game called Fart Hotel? That's right. A phone app called Fart Hotel, where you had to choose who farted. That was the whole game. You just had to guess who farted. Like, that was a game, right? Like, you can make these things. And you could sit down and try to make stuff and fail at it and get a little bit better and get a little bit better and get a little... Make your Fart Hotel. Go make Fart Hotel. And then eventually make your Five Nights at Freddy's. Because eventually, if you keep making these things, someone's going to take notice. Someone's going to see the stuff that you're making. You're going to get better at making those things. And eventually, you won't be making Fart Hotel anymore. You'll be making something else. And that's the whole idea. The idea is to make things and grind that XP and learn how to do this stuff because nobody knows how to do it at first. That's okay. You don't fight the final boss at level 1. You start at the very beginning, and you gain levels, you get XP, and you get better at this stuff. So one of the things that I put together 3 times a year is we actually have a game jam that we do. If you've never heard of a game jam, if you don't know what that is, go and look this up. There are hundreds and hundreds of different game jams that go off on the internet every day. They're constant. You go look at itch.io. It's a great website to find this kind of stuff. And a game jam is a place where basically you get a theme, and the theme will be like, you must incorporate giraffes, or whatever it's going to be, right? And you have to make a game centering around that theme in a limited amount of time. And you won't know what you're doing, and you'll probably fail the first time. And that's great, because in the action of failing that first time, you're going to learn so much. You're going to learn a massive amount of stuff about yourself, about team members that you bring along with you, about the skills that you need going forward, about maybe some stuff that you didn't know about originally, and you'll incorporate all of that into your design. And like, I know this is easy coming from someone that's, I've been in the gaming industry 18 years. It's easy coming from me saying that, but I followed the same advice. So if we go onto Steam and we go look up Heartbound. Heartbound's the game that I work on now, and I work on it on stream every day. And we're sitting at 97% positive reviews out of 1,057 reviews. And we also have 100,000 wish lists, because the game's in early access. People are waiting for it to come out, right? But this isn't the first game that I made as an indie. It's actually the second one. Our first one was Champions of Breakfast, which is... It's not great, right? It's a silly little arcade game. It's got sick music. Listen to these sick jams, dude. It's good music. But if you look at this, it's just spinning objects. And it freezes. Thank you, Steam. Well done. But it's just spinning objects. That's all it is. They don't animate. They just rotate. Really easy to build. How long do you think it took us to make this? This is with me having never worked in Game Maker Studio before, in a programming language I'd never heard of, never used before in my life, an artist who had never made pixel art before, had never made anything for a game in their lives, never made pixel art, never made anything for a game, and then a musician who had never made sound effects for a game or music for a game before. They'd only made stuff on their own for, like, you know, indie soundtracks and things like that. How long do you think this took us? Anybody in chat, how long do you think it took us to make this game, our first game? To launch it from, I want to make a video game, I want to make Asteroids with a Toaster, to my game is on Steam. How long do you think it took? It took 24 days. 24 days. From, I want to make a game to my game is up on Steam. It was 24 days. And it's not the best game in the world. It's not. And that's okay. Because here's what we learned by making this. We learned how to make all of these Steam icons and everything that goes up on this page. By the way, Steam doesn't auto-scale these. You have to build these yourself. You have to make every one of these little icons yourself. We learned how to make Steam achievements. There's 164. My God. We learned how to make Steam point shop items. We learned how to make Steam trading cards, and then we found out as developers, when someone buys a Steam trading card from another person, you get a little cut of the money as a Steam dev. I didn't know that. That's really cool. So that means that you want to make really cool Steam trading cards so that people really want to trade them around because you're making a little bit of money off of that. That's really helpful for an indie studio. I learned that when you add controller support to your game, it's really important for people that have physical disabilities. I didn't know that before I made an indie game. I was in, AAA. I had no idea that that was the case. So we started adding, controller support to every game that we work on now. The accessibility is built right in because they can take that controller, remap it to whatever devices they use, and they can play your game. I had no clue. This game taught me all of this. It taught me everything that I needed to know to go and make something better. And that's what you need to make. You got to go make your Champions of Breakfast. You got to go make your Fart Hotel. Whatever it's going to be, make that game and then make a better one. Because you can do that. Nothing is stopping you from doing that. Nothing at all. Now, the next thing of this, and this is the real big one. After hearing all of that, you're like, man, I want to go make games. Like some of you guys are like, oh man, I got to go do this, right? Don't quit your day job. Don't do it. Do this on the side. Do it as a side project. Go to work every day. Have that financial backing that keeps you afloat. Go home, and instead of sitting on the couch and watching Netflix, take 2 to 4 hours a day, whatever it's going to be, any amount of time that you can devote to this, and work on your game. You won't know what to do at first. It's going to be frustrating at first. It's going to drive you nuts at first. But if you get over that and you learn some stuff, and you learn like, oh man, I'm actually making something, the moment that you make a character walk on screen, you've already won. That's all you need to do. Yeah, oops, already quit my day job. Don't do it, dude. Don't quit your day job. Keep your day job. It's going to help you to be financially stable while you're doing this, so you're not going to stress out. You're not going to worry about, oh my God, I have to do this kind of thing. Like, just keep your job. Do this kind of thing. And eventually, one day, if you do it long enough, there's a chance that you'll be able to do it full time. Not everyone gets to, but you have the chance. And the more that you do this, the more that you plan for it, the more that you get better at this, the more small games that you release, the more game jams that you're a part of, the higher that chance gets. That's the only way. Plan on your future by doing this. Invest in yourself by learning these skills. It's the whole point of this. So from there, let's take a look at this. Like, how do you... I put all these different sections in here. It's not just about what skills you need. Like, what kind of game should you make? How do you pick the kind of game you want to make? Like, oh, I want to make an MMO. Don't. Don't make an MMO as your first game. Make a little arcade game. Make a platformer. Make something small. Something you can build in under a month. Like I was saying with Champions of Breakfast. Do that. You can do that. There's nothing stopping you from doing that other than fear of not doing it well enough. Someone on the internet making fun of you. I'm going to be honest with you. No matter what you make, someone on the internet's going to make fun of you. But it's yours, and they didn't make it. So get owned, right? Like, it's super good that way. It's actually really fantastic that you can say, I made this thing. So outside of that, let's go to how do you build a community? Tons and tons of social media stuff now. You've got Discord, Twitter, Instagram, Steam, GameJolt, itch.io, Twitch, YouTube, Reddit, like all these, and Guilded now, You've got all these different places that you can build community. Every time I go live on Twitch, I announce it on Twitter and Discord. Every time I make something in Heartbound and we release a new patch, it goes on every one of our social media sites. Every single thing I do ties into every single other thing that I do because you're an indie dev. No one is shouting from the top of the mountain for you. You're not AAA. You don't have piles of money. You don't have infinite cash to throw into games. The average amount of money used on a game for its release, like for the actual marketing for it, is a third of the cost of the actual game itself. You don't have that. So it's got to be you. Stand at the top of the mountain and scream about your game. Scream on every social media platform. Tell every single person about it. Go into your comments on, social media and actually respond to people. Tell everyone, what did you feel about the game? What did you think about the game? Get that feedback and don't get weird about it. Don't get mad about it. Accept it and then change yourself as a developer to get better. There's tons of times where people have come to me and they're like, your game sucks, right? I'm like, well, why does it suck? And then they tell me and I'm like, you're right. My game does suck. I'm going to go fix that. And then I do, and then that person has a better experience. I grow as a developer. Everybody wins, right? Now, that isn't to say that every amount of feedback is good, because sometimes it's pretty terrible. Like, I'll give you an example. I had a person come to me and they go, your game has no story in it. And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean my game has no story in it, right? But the whole game is story. It's a narrative RPG, right? You're fighting monsters and talking. That's 99% of the whole thing. And they go, and I talk to them like 20 minutes. It's like 20 minutes back and forth with this person. And then they finally go, well, I don't like reading, so I skipped it. Don't like reading, so I skipped it. Damn it. So not all feedback is good. Sometimes it's, sometimes it's like that. But you should always listen. I think that's the biggest thing. Is not all feedback is good, but all feedback matters. You could get that from someone to go, wow, that's an interesting take. Thank you. But at least you heard them out, because it could have been something important. There were other times where people gave me feedback and they're like, this area of the game feels terrible. The developer is clearly just, pandering for time so that I can't refund the game. Really spicy take, right? In reality, it was a maze that had like shadow all over it, and you had to like find your way through the maze, and objectively it sucked. It wasn't fun. So I got rid of it. Bad reviews disappeared. Everybody was happy. I learned something about, player experience and valuing the time of the players a little bit more, and not putting those types of mazes into the game because they just aren't fun. It's just filler. What's the point, right? So learn something from your players, always, 100%. Some people only understand environmental storytelling or cutscene. It's true. The funny thing is all of it is cutscenes. It's just dialogue, because we're in India. I can't afford like 10,000 lines of voiceover. We've already got it translated into 6 languages. Like it's out there in a bunch of them, but like, dude, voiceover that's something else. That's really expensive. So anyway, tools. People fight about this all the time. What's the best engine? What's the best engine? I'm only going to use Game Maker Studio. I'm only going to use Unity. Whatever engine you want to use is the best engine, based on the type of game you're making. Different engines have different skills and abilities, that make them better suited for different types of games. Let's take a look at Risk of Rain. How many of you guys have played Risk of Rain or Risk of Rain 2? Let's go take a look at this. This game is sick. I love this game. Risk of Rain is an awesome game. It was made in Game Maker Studio and MS Paint. That's not a joke. They literally used MS Paint to make this game. It's phenomenal, frankly. It's a fantastic game. And he used MS Paint. Your tools don't matter. Whatever works for you is what matters. Whatever works for you, whatever works for your workflow. It doesn't matter if it costs a lot of money, it doesn't matter if it's free, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is that it gets out of the way and allows you to make the kind of game you're trying to make. So Game Maker Studio is really, really good at making 2D games. It's not very good at 3D. Godot is really good at 2D and 3D games. Unity is really good at 3D stuff, but it's not as good for 2D games. And then there's financial stuff on top of it. Unreal is great at 3D. But you can look at each one of these, and I've got a couple of lists in here of different games that they've made. So you've got, Godot is actually the new kid on the block, but it's fantastic. It's got a lot of community support. It's really nice, and it's free and open source. Then you've got Game Maker Studio. It's $100, but it's only a one-time payment. No royalties whatsoever. You've got Unity. Unity is really cool. It's really good, but it's got royalties after a certain amount. It's like a seat license that you have to do. Unreal Engine has royalties, but it's after $1 million. And if you made $1 million off your game, you're probably silent anyway, and you probably feel fine. So it's not going to matter much to you, especially if you're a small team, right? But you can see the different types of games that they've made, too. So with Unity, you've got Hearthstone and Cuphead and Wizard of Legend. Those are sick games. Hollow Knight, too. Unreal, the only 2D game that I've seen that came out of Unreal is really surprising to me. It's Octopath Traveler. And I think it was probably for the lighting and particle effects, because that game looks sick. But it's all 2D. It's like 2.5D stuff for everything. You've also got things like Fortnite, Conan Exiles. With Game Maker Studio, you've got all the indie darlings, right? You've got things like Hyper Light Drifter, Risk of Rain, Nuclear Throne, Undertale. Awesome games came out of Game Maker Studio. It's great at 2D pixel art games. And then you've got other free stuff. Ren'Py. Ren'Py is specifically made for visual novels. That's what it's for. It's made in Python. It's free. And that's how Doki Doki Literature Club came to be. It was made in Ren'Py. It's awesome stuff. So, don't worry about what the best engine is. Worry about the kind of game you want to make and then choose the right tool for the job. That's the whole point of this, is you want to choose the right tool for the job, choose the right engine for the kind of game you're trying to make, right? The next one, there's no best art program. No best art program at all. We use Sprite. We use Sprite because it's really good at making, pixel art animations. I really enjoy that. Super fun for that. Do you see future in VR games? I do. I see a future in that, but not until it's like nerve gear where it's like hooked up to your brain. And for me, it's kind of tough because VR games, I can't play them. I get motion sick really bad. Like the moment I put the headset on, I'm vomiting all over the room. It's great. It's not what you want, right? But I do see a future of VR games. But I think what we have right now, the things like the Oculus and stuff like that, all the devices that we're wearing, it feels like Laserdisc to me. It feels like that middle ground before we have true full dive immersion. You know what I mean? You've got that kind of interim technology where they're playing around with it, and then eventually they're going to be like, whatever, we're just going to hook it up to your brain. And I'm waiting for that. That's what I want. I just want to, load into video games and be done for the day. In any case, sounds like a game I could get into. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, so Sprite's great for 2D stuff. And it's $20, or, and this is the cool thing, you can compile it from their GitHub for free, and they let you do that. So these guys not only sell it, but they give it away if you want to go through and compile it from their GitHub. That's fantastic. That's really cool. GIMP, free. It's free Photoshop. It's not as good as Photoshop in some reason, for some things, but it's fantastic. If you really want to use, photo manipulation software, use GIMP. There's nothing wrong with that. Blender used to be, sad. It used to, Maya used to just dominate over Blender all the time, and Blender wins now. Blender is amazing for 3D modeling now. It's used for everything. It plugs into everything. It's gotten so powerful over the years. And because of that, it's fantastic for making 3D games. Use it. It's free. It's totally free. There's no best music program. Our musician's name is Stein von Waker, and all this music you hear is from Stein. All of it. And like I said, we've got about 100 songs in the OST. All this is from Heartbound. All of it's from Stein. Stein is a wizard. Absolute wizard. Family Studio is really good for making NES games. That's a free tool that you can use, or NES-style chiptunes. If you love that old, NES-style music, like the old chiptune stuff, use Family Studio. It's fantastic for that. Anvil's the same, but for MIDI. And then the big one, and this is the expensive one because it's $100, is FL Studio. All of our music is made in FL Studio. Doesn't mean you need to use this. Go and make something in Family Studio. It's just as good, and it's free, and you can use it for all kinds of stuff. In fact, let's take a look at a game real quick. I'm going to show you something really small that I love. How many of you guys have ever played Downwell? Check this game out, dude. Listen to this music. Love this game. It's hard. Downwell is amazing. The music is fantastic. The effects are really clean and really good and readable. And it's all using 3 colors, black, white, and 1 accent color, and that's it. This is a game that is attainable for any of you. You can make this. There's nothing stopping you from making this. It's an easy and simple idea, executed well, and really clean with simple graphics, simple audio. All of this stuff is really easy to make. You just have to do it. And at first you're not going to know what you're doing, but you can do this. And you can learn while you're doing this. And then eventually you can have a game like this that's pretty sick. It's a fun game. It's really cool. Downwell's awesome. Good. It's up on Steam. Play this game. Do it. It's $3. It's $3. Dude. But yeah, do that. Seriously. So you can use these types of tools to make that stuff. Then you're like, okay, well, I don't have $100 for FL Studio, and I want to use FL Studio. How to raise money? There's a lot of different ways to do it. There's a massive amount. Just like I said before, don't quit your day job. Keep that day job. Use it to fund your gaming development habit, right? Because at first it is. It's going to be a hobby. It's going to be a hobby at first. You're going to learn this stuff, and you're going to get better at doing this. And eventually you'll make something that might stand on its own and make money back. But make it for the love of the game at first. Then one day it might be your job. That's how all hobbies go. All hobbies are you doing something really cool, and then you're like, wait a minute, I'm really good at making this. Maybe I'll make this my job now. And you can do that with game dev. So raising money at first is really going to be about keeping that day job. After that, you can raise funds from a bunch of different places outside, and the big one is Twitch. If I didn't have Twitch, we wouldn't be a studio. And it's not just because of the income from Twitch. It's actually because of the amount of voice that Twitch gives you as a game developer. When I'm streaming on Twitch, we sell 400% more copies of Heartbound. Every hour on the hour. 400% more copies than if I wasn't streaming. And that is tried and true every day for the last 5 years. If I miss a day of streaming, that number goes down. And this is a really good example of you are an indie. Stand on the top of the mountain and shout about your game. Twitch will let you do that. It is fantastic for that. It is very, very good for getting the word out about what you're doing. And we're evidence of that. And I'm not special for doing what we've done. I'm not, God's gift to gaming or game development or anything like that. I just tried something and it worked. And I know other people can do it too. Because there was no special time period that allowed us to do this. There was no special window that we had to work our way through. Now is the time to keep doing this stuff or to start doing this stuff because it's going to carry. It's going to snowball. And unless you start now, you're never going to start. So do it. Do it. Stop talking about doing it. Do it. Nothing's stopping you. And we have a category now, software and game development. You can go to this category and find other game developers. And that doesn't just mean programmers. That means voice actors. That means writers. That means pixel artists. That means people making pen and paper games. That means people making card games. That means every kind of game you can think of. That's what software and game development is for. And we campaigned to have this made for about 8 months, and Twitch finally did it. So get in here and be part of this category. If you want to make games, this is the place to be. And don't get discouraged at first. Don't just get discouraged if you've only got 2 viewers and your mom and your dog, because that's how I started too. That's how every single person in here started. And it's taken me 5 years of doing this to get to where I am today. And there's nothing stopping you from doing the same. If you really want to do it, do it. Make games. Make cool stuff. Other people will find out as long as you're telling people about it. Now, outside of that, and this is a cautionary tale, you don't need a publisher. So many people get stuck in this and go, well, I can't make games. Someone's got to publish me. No. You used to need a publisher because you had to release on a console. Back in the day, when you wanted to release on Super Nintendo, you had to pay Mr. Nintendo 30% of your revenue because they had to go and make the physical cartridges. Why? You don't need that anymore. No one needs that. You can distribute it yourself. You can put it up on Steam. You can put it up on itch.io, on GameJolt, on Humble Bundle, every one of these different places, and you can do it without paying anyone. So do it. You don't need a publisher. And many, many indie studios that I know went, oh man, I went with a publisher because we thought it was the best idea, and they took 70% of our income. The biggest question you have to ask, and this is the big one in here, will the help of the publisher lead to profits above and beyond the revenue cut that they take? If you don't know the answer, or if the answer is no, then you don't need a publisher. And that's it. Don't fall for the trap. They're vampires. Also, I love What We Do in the Shadows. Watch that show. It's amazing. Good stuff. Next one is Kickstarter. So Kickstarter isn't... This is going to seem weird. Kickstarter isn't for making money. That's not what it's for. Kickstarter is for raising awareness about what you're making. It's not for making money at all. So when I put Heartbound up on Kickstarter, we did a bunch of analytics to find out, like, oh man, how much money could we make within a certain time period? Like average, right? Like how much do you think we're going to make within a certain amount of time? And it came out to about $5,000. Heartbound is a game that's been in development now for 5 years. We have it out in early access. People buy it and all that kind of stuff. But $5,000 is not going to make a game with a bunch of people working it full time for 5 years. That's not going to happen. So why did we put it up for that much? Because we knew from the analytics that it was a likely amount to reach that within 24 hours. Why do you want to reach that in 24 hours? Because of the news. You want to be that sensationalist indie. You got your game funded in 24 hours. Everyone wants to pick that up. IGN immediately picked this up and wrote a story on it. That's what you use Kickstarter for. You use it to raise awareness for what you're doing. You use it as a platform for media to pick you up and talk about you. That helps you amplify everything that you're doing to tell the rest of the internet what it is that you're making. Use Kickstarter for that. Great. It's fantastic. And you get to give out cool rewards to the people that back you, too. It's a really awesome thing to do. Builds community, builds awareness of what you're making, and also makes a little bit of money on the side. But it's primarily not for making money. That's not what it's for. It's for raising awareness. Merchandise. Make stuff. Do it. We have a bunch of merchandise. Look, it's merch. Wow. Look, it's my face all over a cup. Horrifying. Nobody wants that. They still buy it anyway. But yeah, make merch. Merch is cool. We actually use a shipping service called Pirate Ship, which is cool. I like them because they're very on brand. But we have a bunch of different manufacturers and stuff that I put up on this, and it's good to release these things. The margins on them, though, are very small, generally. You don't make a huge amount of money off of merch, but you do get to see people really happy about what they're buying, right? When somebody throws donations at you, you can't really give them anything back. When they're buying something, they may feel really cool about it. They may actually get into it and be like, oh man, I've got this cool sticker. I'm going to go put it on my computer and people are going to see it and I'm going to talk about it. Merchandise is cool because it lets your fans show off. That's more than anything else. And it feels good, man. So, like, make it. Even if it's silly, just little stickers. Just make them. Make them. Get them out there. It's not super expensive to do. It's really cheap. So, outside of that, coffee. Good way to make money. Not Patreon. Patreon takes 8%. Patreon, if you're a founder, takes 5%. Coffee takes $4.50 a month flat. It's the exact same service. There are other services like this that exist out there on the internet. Don't use Patreon. Use Coffee. Cheaper. And I'm not saying none of these are sponsored, by the way. Not a single one of them. Not a single one of these is sponsored. This is all the best way to run this as an indie trying to live off of ramen. That's it. That's what it is. You know, you want to retain as much money as you possibly can when you're indie, and this is a good way to do it. So outside of that, where should you launch your game? You're like, okay, I've got it. I've got a demo. Everything is out there. People know about what I'm doing. Where do I send my stuff? Steam. Steam is the big one. Why is Steam the big one? Let's bring out the good old MS Paint. MS Paint, the ultimate. Steam takes 30%. And you're like, wait a minute, you said publisher's bad. 30% bad. 30% is bad. Except for with Steam. Steam lets you do something that's a magic trick. They let you sell Steam keys. How much money does Steam take when you sell a Steam key? 0%. If you take a Steam key, which you get for free, you can order as many of them as you want as a developer on Steam. If you take that Steam key and you sell it on another platform, Steam takes nothing. 0%. They take absolutely nothing. That is phenomenal. So what you do is you take your Steam keys and you put them on Humble Bundle, and you put them on Game Jolt, and you put them on itch.io, and you sell your game on all these different platforms, and some of those sales have no overhead whatsoever. And then on top of it, you have one center of distribution, which is Steam, which means every time someone buys the game, all the updates come from Steam. You don't have to manage all these different files in different locations. It's all just on Steam. It's easy for you. Super simple stuff. And the Steam keys make it free. Super good way to do it. So then outside of that, you're like, okay, well, that's neat. Well, no one can find my game on Steam. Steam has a way to fix this called visibility rounds. When you release your game, you get 5 of these. 5 VRs, right? 5 visibility rounds that get released. And when you use a VR, you get 500,000 impressions on front page of Steam. Is that legal by Steam rules? That's what Steam does. That's part of their service. That's 100% what Steam wants you to do. They want you to sell Steam keys on other platforms. I believe in their agreement, the only thing that they asked for you to do is it cannot be cheaper on other platforms than it is on Steam. That's it. That's the only part of the agreement. Do this. This is absolutely allowed. But yeah, the Steam visibility rounds let you be on front page of Steam for 500,000 impressions. That is amazing. And you get to do that 5 times. And when you leave early access, they give you one that gives you like 1 million impressions on front page, and it doesn't even count as one of the VRs. So when people talk about like, oh, well, Steam doesn't do anything for visibility, use their tools. They have them there. Every time we enter a Steam sale, we sell basically 90% of our copies for the year during Steam sales. And you can go and join those or leave those at will. Like, you get to choose if you want to be a part of that or not. They don't do that to you. They don't set the rates for you. You do it as the developer. Now, people go like, oh, well, that's cool. That's all fine. But like, you know, what about people that steal from us, right? Like, what about pirates? And, you know, I'm Pirate Software, so I should know a thing or two about piracy, right? A little bit about piracy with the name, right? So let's talk about piracy for a moment. Like, oh, you know, piracy, people are going to steal my game. Like, Steam doesn't really have any protections in place for it. You're right. But what is piracy really an issue of? My chat knows. You guys know what piracy really is an issue of? Because it's not people being jerks. It's an issue of cost or distribution. If people can't buy your game because it's too expensive, they're going to pirate it. If people can't get your game because they can't obtain it, they're going to pirate it. Access and cost. The whole thing. So a really good example of this is Brazil. Our game, Heartbound, took off in Brazil before it took off anywhere else in the entire world. The average household income in Brazil is 880 to 1100 BRL. It's about 180 US dollars. If you're telling them to buy a $60 game, you're saying, give me a third of your household's monthly income with 2 working parents. Of course they're going to pirate your game. So what do we do to fix that? Let's go pull this up. First off, we localize the game into Brazilian Portuguese. Then, using Steam, we localize the price. You can see here the Brazilian real, it's only 20 BRL, which is about $4 US, 58% off in Brazil. How much money do you think we make off of Brazil? Knowing that the economic constraints there, the fact that it's not a huge amount of income, the fact that we've released the game there for 60% off. How much do you think it is? 20 to 25% of our studio's monthly income comes from Brazil. 20 to 25% of our studio's entire monthly income comes from Brazil. And that's a country that's generally overlooked because of piracy. Why would you overlook it? Don't. Use Steam. Use Steam and localize your prices and localize your games. If you do this, those communities can support you, and you're supporting them by giving them a game that they can actually buy that makes sense for them to buy. So they don't have to go to a third-party site and get malware. That's what this is all about. That's the whole point. You will make money. You don't have to worry about it. Put your game up there and make the price fair. And you're giving a better experience to people that otherwise wouldn't be able to have it. And you'll make money out of it. So yeah, you guys are talking about Argentina, right? Argentina is $1.13, right? Argentina, $1.13. You're like, oh, well, people just VPN and buy it there. I think we've sold like 2 copies in Argentina, which is wild. Does our team manually set the localized prices? For some of them, yeah. For the localizations that we do, which is Brazilian, Portuguese, Russian, French, Spanish, and Japanese, those ones, we manually set them. Because I want to make sure that they're correct. And I talk to people that are in those areas and I pay attention to the economics for that stuff. And when you set it, Steam automatically starts doing the converted price automatically from there. So I don't have to worry about fluctuating prices because Steam automatically handles that for you. Once you set this value, you're done, basically. They handle everything for you afterwards, which is great. It's really fantastic. And they can do all this automatically for you as well if you don't want to touch any of it. They do it for you if you don't want to touch it. Can you set it for free to a single country? I don't know. We're trying to find that out right now, actually. We're trying to find that out. We'll figure it out. I'm hoping to find out. I've got like some feelers out to Steam to see if we can do that. But yeah, so with Argentina, people are like, oh man, prices there. People are going to VPN over it. Steam will let you do that. If you try to VPN over, it's actually based on where your payment processor is. So you can't just VPN around it, basically. And if you do switch your payment processor around a whole bunch, Steam will eventually ban your account. And then you lose all your Steam games. So people don't want to do that. They don't do it. And I know they don't do it because we've sold about 26,000 copies of Heartbound. It has about 100,000 wish lists. And I think we sold 2 copies in Argentina ever. Which is, to me, is pretty funny. You know, like, the cheapest price on there, we've only ever sold 2 copies. So, not really an issue. But yeah, with all that in mind, man, you have everything you need to make games now. And it's all on the website, develop.games. And there's no ads on here. The only thing that there is me. At the bottom. Waving at you. I'm there. Just many hundreds of thousands of layers of me going back into the infinite behind my website. But yeah, that's it. That's what it is. When I put ads, because making games and seeing ads for that stuff up here just feels gross to me. Making games is hard enough. I don't want to put a bunch of stupid ads on here. I don't want to monetize this in a way that is gross. I don't want to put a paywall in front of it. I don't want to do any of that stuff. It's gross, dude. It's gross. You know? What about game revenue taxation? What about game revenue taxation? Does Steam take care of all of that? Steam handles... So what I end up getting is a royalty check, right? So a royalty check from the sales of the game. Steam handles other stuff, like VAT and all that other things. Like, I don't have to deal with any of that. I just have to pay the federal government and my state, if we had state income tax, which we don't. Washington. Hey, indie state. It's a good day. Good state to be. But yeah... Steam takes care of all the other stuff. I just have to pay federal taxes on income tax. That's it. That's all I have to do. Which is nice. And then my tax man does it, so I don't have to look at it because it's scary. Is that Viking Blonde? Don't let Thor fool you. Making games is dead easy. Just push the make game button in Game Maker. Yeah, dude, just press make game and you're done. And it's over. You don't have to do anything else. No international considerations. No. When you're launching on Steam, it launches internationally already. So, like, we sell copies of Heartbound in Japan, for instance. And Steam handles all of that stuff for it. which is really nice for you. You know, as an indie dev, nothing could be more powerful than that. I think effectively, Steam is probably the best publisher that exists right now. And it makes it really easy as an indie dev. And I think the buy-in is like $100 in total. And if you put your game out on GameJolt, for instance, like GameJolt is really good for launching like demos. It's really fantastic for that. And look how nice the page looks. You make a sick-looking page on here. This is the one for Heartbound. And you can make this stuff look really cool. And you can put your demo up here. And people can go and support you. And when they do support you, if you're streaming on Twitch and you've got stuff up on GameJolt and you do all this kind of thing, you can take that money and then go put your game up on Steam, and then the ball starts rolling. Because then you have a base camp. You have a place to put builds. You have a place to interact with your community. You have a place to have a sold game. And that's something that's phenomenal. It's something that you just can't really get anywhere else to the same degree. And you guys are talking about Epic storage tools. Do they compare to all the stuff Steam does? Epic loses right out the outset, even just with one feature, and that's the Steam key. The moment that you say Steam key, Epic Games loses in comparison, unfortunately. And it's just because the Steam key can be sold anywhere for free. As an indie, nothing beats that. That is phenomenal. Oh God, you found the channel. What's up? Hi. Yeah, it's Pirate Software / Pirate Software. It's me. Hello. But yeah, so like, I think as we wrap this up, we've got about 4 minutes left. I think the one thing that I want to impose on every single one of you is don't wait to make games. You're not too old to make them. You're not too young to make them. I waited most of my life in AAA, like 7 years in AAA, before I realized that I could just go home and make indie games, and that nothing was stopping me. You have access to all of human knowledge on the internet, and you can do this. You can absolutely do this. And we have a really pretty looking game right now. If we go and look up Heartbound right now, you can see this. What we've made now looks just great, right? We've got this cool trailer and all this cool stuff and all these nice cutscenes and everything that we have on here, and it looks fantastic. But it didn't always look that way. Let me go pull this up real fast. Whoop. Where is it? I'm going to show you something. The screen's going to go black for a second. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Where is it? This, what you're about to see, is horrifying. This is what Heartbound looks like today, with all these animations and all these different cutscenes and all this different stuff that we have here, right? This is what it looked like originally. Let me pull this up. This was the first build of Heartbound. Look at him. He is a potato. Look at him. My God. Every game looks like this in the beginning. Every game looks like this in the beginning. I have 2D pixel art ray trace lighting in my game now. This is what it started as. You're gonna make a game that looks like this at first, and it's okay. Don't be down on yourself. Just make it better each day. Just make it better each day. That's it. Go make Potato Simulator, dude. Make it. I believe in you. You can do this. Yeah, RTX off. Exactly, dude. From all your games, what would be your monthly earnings? From all my games, monthly earnings? I don't actually know. I basically take all of my money that I make and I put it back into the studio. Everything. I try to pay out to our artists and musician as much as I possibly can. I don't make a huge amount of money. I used to make money. I used to work for the federal government, right? Like I was a hacker for the Department of Energy. I was a big nerd. But like, if I wanted to keep making huge amounts of money, I would have kept that job. I want to enjoy myself. I want to make games. I want to make things that other people can enjoy and do this type of thing. So that's what I do. As long as I make enough money to pay my bills, I don't care about anything else. That's just kind of how I live. If that makes sense. It's kind of a weird one, but yeah. Do you hack any nukes? No. And if I did, I wouldn't be able to tell you. But yeah, that's it, dude. That's the whole deal. Well, it's been fun. Enjoy Twitch Fridge. You guys are amazing. Thank you for being here. Goodbye, everyone on the Twitch Fridge. I think we actually have 1 minute left. I'm just going to do this for a minute. Actually, wait. Nope, my ferrets are all asleep. Unfortunate. I was going to show you the ferrets. They have a big cage over here. They're quite a lot of ferrets, but they're all sleeping inside of that hammock. You can see it's like... Poor ferrets. All sleeping. It's not time for them to be awake. Anyway, goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. You guys are amazing.